you've put together, was it a $200 million fund, $250 million fund? Can you talk me through that?
Yeah, happy to. So DLP, we have a little over $5 billion in assets under management, again, headquartered right here in St. Augustine, Florida, which I'm talking to you from now. We have our capital base is direct relationships with high net worth, ultra high net worth families. We have 2,850 families invested in our funds. A few hundred of those are Northeast Florida families, but they're all over the country. These are, business owners. These are doctors, attorneys, engineers, CPAs, et cetera. And then we work with a number of large, wealth management firms and family offices and endowments and such as well. But it's mainly, deep relationships we build with direct families. We call them faith-centered wealth creators. Generally first generation wealth creators. People work really, really hard to build their wealth, and they invest that money with us with expectations that we're going to protect that money. We're going to generate solid double-digit returns, regular distributions, and an element of liquidity. And so one of those funds, we run 5 total funds right now, 4 that are open for investment. And one of those funds is called the Building Community Fund, which is a $2 billion fund focused on investing equity into building new thriving communities. And that's the fund that's investing in downtown Jacksonville in partnership with JWB. That fund also is invested in a couple other properties in the suburbs, I'll call it, of Jacksonville with JWB. We also partner with some of the other big developers in the area. And then we have other funds that invest as a lender as well, alongside the equity, which we all know the debt is always the largest part of the capital stack. And so, today the biggest way we've invested in downtown from a dollar standpoint is we're the lender on most of the properties we own in downtown as well, and providing the acquisition, the development, and some of the construction financing to build these brand new apartment buildings and grocers and so forth that we'll be building here over this first phase of the project.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Can you give me, when you're telling people about the downtown investment, right? Like, what is the pitch? Are you guys just, I get the sense that, like you said, ultra high net worth families, that you have like a community built around, people trust you with their money, right? Like implicitly, it sounds like very similar to kind of like the community that we have here. When you're describing the stuff that you're doing in downtown, for someone that hasn't heard of it, a lot of us are familiar with it, but like, what is your usual description of like the Proceed District and what you're doing down there?
Yeah, well, I'll start and just give the full, I guess I'll call it transparent answer to that question, which is because of the way we raise our capital and the deep trust we've built with the families who invest with us. To give you an idea, we have less than 1.5% redemption annually, which means when somebody invests with us, on average, statistically, they'll be invested with us for 75 years. 70% of our capital every year is existing investors adding more money with us. So most of the people in the Building Community Fund that's investing downtown were already investors with us before we launched that fund 2 years ago, the majority of them. And what they expect from us is, number one, that we're impact investors and that we're going to make a positive impact through building thriving communities. We're going to provide housing that is and will be affordable for working families. We're going to have a positive impact, not just financially in the residents who live in our properties, but we're going to pour into them in addition to the foundation of safe, attainable housing. And then that we're going to support the investor's family by providing them consistent, reliable returns, taking away their worry and stress of the volatility of the market, and then pouring into the families that invest with us in another way. So we just did a big event. Alex and Brian, our CEO of Gateway Jacks, came to the event, and we had hundreds of our investors there, 450, 500 people there, and we had Tim Tebow as one of our speakers, and a lot of awesome speakers, and poured into them, focused on helping them build extraordinary families, legacies, and lives. And so that's what people are investing in with DLP, above and beyond any specific property. So we're not out there raising money just into downtown. The downtown is going to be a big part of the fund because it's going to be all said and done, debt and equity, a couple $2 billion. But by the time we have downtown fully built out, that fund will probably be $5 or $10 billion. So it's not the only thing we're doing in there. But with that said, 80% of all of our development, and right now, to give you an idea, next year we'll be a top 5 developer in America in terms of our development pipeline. And 80% of our development is in Florida, and 80% of that 80% is in Northeast Florida. So, Northeast Florida makes up 60% of everything we're doing, and across the whole country, right? It's a huge portion of it. So we're regularly selling on a lot of things we talked about on why we believe so much in Northeast Florida, and that's why we moved our company here. That's why I moved my family here. That's why we're actively investing in doing the downtown project, doing suburban, 2, 3, 4-story multifamily, doing build for rent, doing ground up developments for sale, doing townhome developments, doing large RV outdoor hospitality resorts, and everything in between throughout Northeast Florida.
Interesting. So I guess I never asked this, but you say ultra high net worth family. Do you guys have like a minimum investment to invest with you guys?
Depends a couple factors, but 100 to $200,000 is the short story as the minimum, and average has around $1 million with us.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. So that's why we talk about this idea of like the big money coming to Jacksonville, and you essentially represent, bigger money investors that are putting in $1 million, minimum 100 to 200,000, all accredited investors and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So, we have some overlapping population, but you guys are generally dealing with higher net worth individuals than the average, than the average person, obviously. And they are putting the money into this, like, they're putting their money and trust in you guys to grow it for 75 years and multi-generationally.